So my name is Alex. I'm from SoMin. SoMin stands for Social Miners. In a brief, my company is focused on leveraging AI and social media data analytics to improve the digital marketing campaigns. So of course, when we were building this system, we have came across many techniques and details on the back end of the products, advertisement platforms like Google and Facebook. And I'll be sharing these things with you, so you probably know a little bit better on how these things work, and then based on that, you can improve your campaigns as well. Okay, yeah, so just a little perk. So if you go to the end, you can get this free book that worth $9.75 on Amazon. Just to a little bit encourage you to stay to the end of the lecture, and that's going to be interesting. So I'm going to talk about some factors that affect the ads costs, about the tools that you can actually use for free in the internet for enhancing your digital marketing. Most important, these tools are AI tools. So they're all based on big data and AI. I'll talk a little bit on how AI itself works. So if you haven't heard about the way AI works, but just have heard about the AI hype, this section is for you. After that, you'll know that AI is actually not a rocket science, it's a very easy thing. Then I'll talk about how AI works in the context of Facebook and Google, and then I'll show you a couple of case studies that our company have accomplished in 10 markets and over 30 big brands all around the world. Facebook, as example, is one of the largest social networks and also advertising platforms in the world. Interestingly for us that in Asia, it's also large. In Asia, it's also very popular, and if you take a market like Indonesia, it actually goes third in the world, right? So we are pretty much in the heart of social media, and of course, for us, not utilizing social media at a scale it provides you would be short-sighted. And I'm sure all of you are already running ads, and that's why we also meet in this conference. Then also for you, probably they're not a secret that nowadays there's no free stuff on social media and search engine marketing. So if you look at this plot, the bars shows the organic reach of the social media content over time. So let's say in 2011, if you post one post, you're gonna get about 26% people seeing it in 2018, and now almost nobody will see your post for free unless you put advertisement budgets. So the brand do put budgets, huge budgets, and that entails very good spiking growth of Facebook's revenues at the same time. So for us, that's not good or bad. That just means that we have to advertise, and of course, we need to do it efficiently in order to achieve our goals, especially when world goes digital, especially when it's become so important for us to leverage our budgets efficiently on social media. So then the key question will be next: how do we, or let's say, how do our agency, or let's say our agency team, if we are working agency, actually come up with the best targeting, best advertisement, best content for our ads? Facebook is so huge. The organic reach has dropped. It continuously changes the algorithms. It came in new regulations, like, let's say, just recently in California, many of the ads cannot be shown anymore. Many of the analytics will not be available to you anymore due to the privacy regulation. So how we can actually go through all these things and really come up with the best ads we could ever start and utilize our budgets wherever size of our budget is. If you look at the key criteria that are important for digital advertisements, then immediately it comes to mind that targeting is something that we really wanted to take care of. And indeed, targeting is one of the key criteria that affect the cost of our ads. That's about demographics, but I think most important is also it's about psychographics. What is psychographics? Psychographics is basically those hidden interests inside our mind that we usually don't reveal to everybody. That's our hidden interest. But also these are the things that actually drive our intentions, drive our purchase decisions. So how can you discover this type of interest and stop targeting your ad based on the demographics of the customers, based on the most obvious interests, like let's say if you are selling burgers and you target by burger. So how do you find other interests that are important to affect the cost of your ads positively, decrease the cost of the ads? Then, of course, another thing that is really very important is objective. And this is pretty much about the place where we are in a funnel. This is our strategy agency could suggest us how ready our brand is to run sales, or maybe it requires a bit more awareness and all this. The key factor here is that objective really affects the ads we run, and it affected drastically. Your ads with the wrongly chosen objective can be many times more expensive as compared to if you choose the objective that really suits your audience in a funnel. Then the third one, I guess this is a new thing, still relatively new, because the concept of competition, the concept of some kind of auction inside the programmatic ad buying is still new for us. We came from a traditional world where we were just buying advertisement from, let's say, TV and so on. But now we have millions of advertisers continuously fighting for the audience, and depending on how many people fight for the same, let's say, burgers on the picture as you at the same time, you will be able to either win an impression or not. And then if you're going to place a higher bid, like a normal auction, then you're going to win impression, but you're going to spend much more money. So how can we spend less, but still win our impression, still reach the audience and the volumes that we want to reach it? The time when you choose to advertise, of course, also very important, because it affects the competition, basically how many people are out there and how many brands fight for them. And of course, in different times, different groups of people respond to your ads, and therefore they differently, your ads might have a different efficiency to the end. You can see that in this picture, for example, different time frames, we have a very, very different efficiency in terms of the cost of the ads. Placement, if we're reaching younger audiences, for us, it's important to reach them through the placements and the ways they like, let's say, so mobile phones, through Instagram. We reach all the audiences. We might have to have some more traditional type of media that appeal to them, so website that they read, maybe more regular content, maybe native Facebook itself as compared to the younger audiences, and so on. Choosing this again and matching it into your audience is very important, defining the cost of the ad. Then all these criteria come together in something called Facebook Relevance Score, that Facebook and Google have the same thing. Basically, what they do, they estimate how likely your ad is going to be relevant, how likely your ad is going to be relevant, and therefore going to be cheap, because Facebook and Google and other platforms, they prioritize and make cheaper those ads that are considered relevant to the audience, and of course they penalize and make it more expensive for those ads that are less relevant to the audience. So how would we choose this ad? You can see the three examples in front of you. The first example is Relevance 2, because targeting is very broad, and the text of the message is also very broad, very generic. And the second time you get more detailed targeting, the relevance increase. In the third case, you also enhance the offer inside, and then your relevance increase from 8. So it's the same creative. Relevance can be changing from 2 to 8, just depending on the caption, depending on the targeting you choose. And this, of course, obviously affects your CPM, cost per impression, and then automatically it will affect your cost per ad, because more impression you show cheaper, more people you're gonna convert at the same time. So if you look at these all cost factors at the same time, we can see that targeted audience and relevance score is really hard to decide. In Facebook, we have hundreds of thousands of categories, starting from fashion and, let's say, food, something very generic, to something like, you know, something like a shirt, like table, and whatever objects are around us. And of course, marketers, they choose to bid for something very obvious, because that's common sense. The problem is that Facebook AI doesn't follow common sense. It follow AI sense, and this AI sense most of the time doesn't match human common sense. So we end up having something that looks perfect to human, but completely doesn't make sense to AI. Eventually, very expensive ads. Basically, based on this targeting and content matching, the relevance is another criteria that wanna affect the cost. The good news that all of us have these tools. Yeah, we have a lot of tools out there on the internet that actually can help us to enhance our efficiency from the day one, like just from today. You know, you can use these tools already to increase the smart setups that you're gonna do. And of course, if you combine it with the material, let's say from the first lecture you heard today, you start continuously A/B test crazy and not so crazy, and all types of ideas, A/B test, then eventually you're gonna be much more efficient than you are now. I'm guaranteeing you. If you're not doing it, so start doing it from today. So what are these free tools? I'll just name a few. Those tools that you have seen already, feel free to skip. Maybe some of them you haven't seen yet. So the first tool is Google Trends. What is Google Trend? That's an awesome tool that actually help you to identify what is actually popular in terms of search in Google and actually overall, because you can see these trends overall and apply it into different advertisement channels in this particular region. So let's say we take an example of burger, and let's take another one as, let's say, pastry, right? So this like both considered to be bakery, considered to be maybe fast food or the kind of desserts and all this stuff. So if you look in the popularity of both these trends, in, let's say, in US and in Asia, you will see that in US burgers are more popular, but if you go to Asia, maybe Europe, the pastry will be opposite. So therefore, if it's more popular among the people, it will be attracting more audience, and also it will affect the competition. So if it's more popular among advertisers as well, which you can see again from Google Trends and from Google Keyword Planner, you can decide not to bid for this word. But then in the other part of the world, you can decide opposite. You can decide bid for pastry just because it's less popular, but might be reaching you to the same people and achieve the same results with a lower cost. Just try it tonight. This tool is an awesome tool, and it doesn't require you to pay anything. Then if you go to Google search bar itself, you'll ask me, well, that's Google itself, that doesn't help in marketing. I'll answer, no, it does, because wherever you type inside Google, you'll actually see what are the other things that people are searching. So every time when you want to plan some new content for yourself to start spin off a new marketing campaign, you have some topics in mind. Just go paste these topics inside your Google search in incognito mode, so it will be biased by your personal search history, and then you will see what are the things people are looking for, and then these could be a very good ideas for you, for your copywriting, for your content targeting, for your long tail keywords, those keywords that maybe nobody else bid, but you will be bidding and you'll be getting it at a very low cost. Same with other search engines. If you go further, you'll see that there are softwares that have free tools trying to encourage you to convert into more expensive tools like WordStream. Here you can find a lot of alternative keywords that could be helpful for you to do a good job beyond your Google Keyword Planner tool, because it will be aggregating many sources. And this, of course, again, AI tool, because it actually compares the keywords, the meaning of keywords, and looking to aggregate as much as possible keywords for you matching your topic. You can try this tool for free. They provide this keyword planner on WordStream for free. If you want to go for WordStream itself, yeah, you have to pay it back. That doesn't mean you can just use WordStream itself and start doing it again tonight if you want to. Google Keyword Planner is an awesome tool. It helps you to find all types of keywords related to a particular topic. If you have one topic in mind, don't just fixate yourself on that topic and just bid for that advertisement. Google Keyword Planner will help you to find thousands of other keywords that people are also search, that are also related to your topic, to your campaign, but maybe not that expensive, because people still search it, but maybe not that many advertisers fight for these keywords. That could be a reason why you want to bid for this keyword and make impression that people will be seeing you, you'll be seeing your brand, and you increase awareness, and also you increase the traffic coming into the platform. this approach, for example, helped Mazak here in Singapore to increase traffic 33 times compared to what they had before. And that's really a useful thing. Also, another example is HP, Hewlett Packard. They were famous for bidding for the typos. They find all ways of typo or like misspell their brand name, and they bid for all of them on Google. They get a lot of free, almost free, very cheap traffic that leads people to their brand to buy their products. And Facebook audience and insights analysis tool that can also not just look at your brand insights, but also can let you choose some other brands in your industry. If they're big enough, you can actually choose them in the left side under the interest section. And then you can see who are those people who follow and affiliate themselves on Facebook to these brands. You might find some very interesting proportions showing you that, let's say, your competitor, let's say you are McDonald's, your competitor Burger King might be followed by majority of, let's say, a particular gender, particular age group, or this particular device and interest. All this information can be gathered by you and used in your campaigns in a strategy level and a content level, and then an execution level as well. So many other tools where you don't need to use these particular ones. My idea was to just show you that, you know, AI is very close to us. We use it every day in all types of devices and all types of scenarios. And there's a lot of tools that don't claim to be AI, but indeed there's a lot of machine learning to help you do a better job. And because your Facebook and Google are AI systems, are machine learning systems of very large scale, you actually must use some other machine learning to make sense of it. Otherwise, you end up applying a lot of human bias that will not work most of the times for the big data systems like Google and Facebook. So how it's used in Facebook and how does AI generally work? So you can see this guy, this guy is James Pennebaker. He have invented something called LIWC. It's one way of representing text. And you know that any AI system, any machine learning system, any computer needs to understand the content in order to make sense of it and learn from it. So this guy invented one of the ways. He created a dictionary that is able to draw the word distributions in the buckets. And depending on which word the person uses, it can be predicted if this guy is introvert or extrovert. Or let's say if this guy likes, let's say, cats or doesn't like cats. Thousands and hundreds of thousands different categories, all this can be predicted. So if you just count words inside your text that you post on social media, you can actually understand about this person, what the guy is interested in, and then based on this information, you can train a machine learning model that will be able to predict for random social media user whether this guy is, let's say, introvert or extrovert, or whether this guy is interested in a particular product, etc., etc., etc. So this is how text gets represented as one way to do it. Then for the image, we actually can do very similar thing. If we have a lot of content on social media, each content can be represented like a little edges inside, and each of these edge basically shows the direction of a gradient or direction of the particular part of the image. And each of these edges are very, very descriptive, and they are invariant to rotation, to scale, so they represent this image very well. So if you happen to combine them into one vector, a histogram showing these edges, it's one distribution, then you can represent images, you can represent videos, and you end up being able to represent each image in a form of sequence and counts of the objects. Let's say in the left, you can see have some content. On the right, you can see that there is a mouse, there is a nose, there is a tie, shoot, etc., etc., etc. Some tools, the house behind. And even if you do this approach into my particular picture at this current moment, you can detect that there is a nose, two eyes, mouse, shirt, and all this. And from this, you can actually predict that there is a human, and this human is presenting, and this human probably speaking at the same time because mouse is open. All these things can be done instantly in millions and billions of data point scale. And this continuously happens in Facebook, just to let you understand that that's where all this targeting comes from. This is how machine learning works, this is how AI works in the backend. So once you be able to predict these objects about the images, once you're able to predict these topics and personality keywords about text, you can actually represent any type of data available on the internet that posted by you, by me, by all of friends, by whatever other bots that are also AI systems, and make sense of it and basically help to distinguish and understand who is the authors of this thing, what these people are interested, what are their intentions, what is their connections, relationships, everything about us. If it's a mobile phone, then it's also where is the locations of the person, etc., etc., etc. All this information gets continuously fed into Facebook, into Google about us or about the audience of any brand, and based on this information, Facebook can do predictions about us, about our intentions, and of course help other marketers to sell stuff to us. So how would this work? I'll just give you some example of classifiers. If you have a task to predict whether this guy is a lead or not a lead, let's say, right? So just given a profile of person on social media, you want to predict whether this guy is a lead for McDonald's or not a lead for McDonald's. So basically, whether they want to show the ad to this person or not, optimize campaign. Then we can see green points before were leads, descriptions of the leads. And the red points are content and text descriptions of non-leads. Then we have a new person and we decide, do we want to show this guy advertisement or not? We can actually compare this guy to all the green points around him, all the other points around him, and you can find that most of the nearest neighbors, that's why algorithm called key near neighbors, are all leads. And if this guy is also similar to most of these green points, but if all these points are green but not red, that algorithm will make decision, okay, this guy probably also a green point, also the lead. And this is exactly the same way how Facebook and Google do lookalikes. They have somebody that they know that they already purchased, and then they just do this comparison across a very huge audience and find people that are similar. Similar in terms of what? In terms of the edges on the images, in terms of the text people post, in terms of those key little moments that for human eye even not noticeable, but very well noticed and distinguished by the AI algorithms. Really like that. It's that simple, and I hope from now on you wouldn't think that AI is something miraculous and rocket science. It's just a mathematics, and all models that are used by other companies, they just can be much more complex, but the idea will be the same. So now, if you're able to do this kind of inference, if you're able to do this kind of predictions on a large scale on Google side, on Facebook side, next question, of course, can you also do it on the brand side to increase the effectiveness of your ads? So if you want to look at how it's happening in Google, or in Facebook, you can actually see some examples. So last year there was a breakdown of Facebook, and there was an issue. So basically, all content has disappeared because the servers had a problem. So Facebook will start showing that this content has a person, this content has animal, this content has, let's say, people talking to each other, etc., etc. So this is a result of their prediction that every time happening when you upload some content. And this basically shows you that Facebook and Google run this advertisement continuously. If you post some post, it immediately predicts where the location of the faces and recognize the person's face. And that's all happening on a rolling basis. It's even available to you in the audience insights tool, where you can actually see what are the pages people following your brand are visiting, what is their key interests and their demographics, all predicted automatically by Facebook. If you go into Google AI, you will see that YouTube continuously removes the content that is not safe in terms of visual, or maybe that's not the right age. The AdWords continuously do a smart bidding, the way I have just explained. They looking, estimating how likely the guy gonna click the ad or not, and then based on that, do decision whether to show impression or not, despite the competition around. The photos suggesting the text inside. Gmail help you to reply. When you just start typing the reply, Gmail already give you the whole phrase. This all AI applications. So how can these be handled on the marketer's side? So if you look in our standard situation of competition, and let's say we are in fast food industry, we have some burger that we want to sell. So we'll be bidding for burger, and the person who bids the most, the guy in the bottom, will win the impression, pay a lot of money. Other two guys wouldn't even show the ad. If they paid per impression, they wouldn't spend anything, but they wouldn't deliver the content, and they will potentially lose the sales. So now, in case if we have some other categories, so-called long-tail category, that we can use actually to bid for, to reach the same people and sell our burger to them. Why don't we bid for those categories? That eventually will bring us a lot of categories that we can bid for, we can target for, that are still relevant to our audience, but at the same time much cheaper. The same for keywords on Google. That's exactly the same principle. So now, how to find all these categories? Well, I'm gonna tell you a couple of examples that our platform doing in SoMin.ai, but overall this can be to a certain extent even achieved by using the free tools on internet. So what we do in the first case, we always collect a lot of data from social media about the brand, about the competitor. It's public social media data. So it's what users post, what brands post, etc., etc. Then in the next step, what's happening is the content gets profiled by machine learning, same as Facebook and Google are doing, but on your side, on the marketer side. It kind of gives you a second opinion and provide you with the information of more than 11,000 different categories that are actually belong to the interest of your audience, belong to the interest of your potential buyers and customers. And this is a personality traits which can be predicted with their interests, and etc., etc. Then the platform brings and splits these people into many micro segments, and these micro segments later can be used to target on Facebook, on Google, on Instagram, and many other platforms to deliver your ads efficiently. Just a simple 4-step process. Collect the data and use computer vision and NLP to understand this data, predict all this information, use this data to split into hundreds of ad sets and ad groups for targeting platforms, and then run and optimize the campaign in terms of bidding, demographics, etc., etc. And this happened to work very well. We have tested it with 30 clients and 10 geographical markets. You can see we almost paint the whole map. It's just a little bit left for us there, left side. And it always delivers very good performance for McDonald's, Mother Care, for Nestle, for Puma, Ferrari, Audi, and many other brands. It actually guarantees a performance uplift by 30%, regardless what they had said before. For user, it's very transparent. You just use it as your regular Facebook ad. You will be just setting up the ad name, choosing the objective, and after that, you'll be able to choose your audience, your time, audience demographics, of course, and then your content. And then once you run the ad inside the ads manager, you'll see that actually it has 8,225 ad sets created. So usually in your campaigns, you maybe create 3, 5, or 1, and you run the ad. This guy created 8,225 in just 4 months. And for each campaign, it creates up to 200 or even more than that. And what are these ad sets? Are these little groups that have determined as a customer personas of your particular brand and competitor's brand. Then they get targeted, optimized, and then eventually performance, of course, will be increasing a lot. It's not a rocket science. It's just a very simple approach of finding these long tail distributions and then running the ads more efficiently that get monitored by AI. This helped McDonald's to increase the cost per app install, decrease cost per app install, increase efficiency by 70%. In Thailand, that helped supermarket chain to retain their bounce rate, but have a cost per click 2 times lower. So increase traffic 2 times, increase their sales by 37%, and also increase the average purchase value by 60% offline. So that works from online to offline as well. It's helped Mother Care in Singapore to increase ROAS by 83%, and it helps them to increase their traffic 33 times in Google, increase its relevance by 15%, but also decrease cost per click by 81%. That's all the same approach that platform does automatically. It also surprisingly helps to find bloggers, and for Puma, it found more than 500 bloggers all over the Southeast Asia, is related to particular visual categories. He wanted to find people that wear sports clothes, sneakers, do some sport activities, and it has found these people by analyzing the Instagram, picking up those people that match the criteria. In Puma, it's sports clothes. In mother and baby universe, for mother care, it will be pregnant mothers or babies of a young age. In United Arab Emirates, it was people wearing a hijab. So all kind of objects can be detected, and then in a very large scale, it can source you micro influencers. And then, as we heard today, this morning from the presentation, that these influencers can be engaged in a much authentic and cost-efficient way, because they're micros, but also at the same time they are very useful and have much high engagement rates for your industry. And maybe one more fun fact, that this lady is the world's first virtual influencer that was also generated by AI. She's like a granddaughter of thousands of people who are also micro-influencers in Southeast Asia, and neural network actually generated her appearance, and now she lives a normal life. You can go to my gram and Instagram, you can see that she meets people, she talks, she posts content, and at the same time she's virtual AI generated influencer, have never existed before, and she is a Puma asset. So with the power of AI, you know, you can do so many cool things. You can generate faces, you can generate content automatically for your digital ads, you can generate audiences to run the ads, and you can run the ads themselves to be more efficient. And we believe that this is the future. If you don't use this, very soon those huge giants of digital marketing will be even further developing their technology, and this gap between people will be bigger and bigger unless people start really using these tools, large-scale analytics and A/B testing, to really improve on their results. So that's all for me. I think I was a little bit over time, but I'm happy to answer any questions and get your free book through this QR code. So thanks for following me.
Actually, you're not over time at all. You're just in time.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so we have a question here. Now, this one is asking, does it matter whether we should do SEO keywords in Facebook, and will it improve the overall Google search results?
So I assume the question is about whether the data can be used across the platforms. Can, let's say, Facebook data be used in Google and opposite? So that's how I understood the question. And that's exactly what our platform is doing. It analyzes a lot of social media data, pick up the things that people discuss, like tens of thousands of keywords, and then use these keywords to actually bid inside Google as a bidding strategy, as a long tail targeting approach. And then the same thing looks inverse. You can actually use Google Trends, Google Keyword Planner to find the key things that people are interested in your industry. And then this can be transferred to Facebook for targeting there, the long tail of their categories. And then you can run more effective experiments, just the way the first speaker today have explained. So yes, definitely, that's how it works. And that's, I believe, also the future, because you are going outside the ecosystem and you are no longer depend on the business model of the platform. You can do as efficient as possible.
Okay, super. I hope that answers your question. Thank you so much. Now, you guys, if you have any more questions, just head on over to the Q&A box. It's right beneath your screen. Click that, type in your question, leave your name, and Aleks here is going to answer any queries you may have. We do have a little bit more time, so get typing. Ask us as many questions as you want. In fact, we're more than happy to answer them. But yes, Aleks, from all of us at Exabyte Selectors, thank you for a phenomenal session just now, and for really making this event a success.
Thanks so much for inviting. Yeah, very happy. You can get my contacts in front of you from the screen. If I find a correct button, I also will share that in the chat. So yeah, very happy to catch up offline. I'm in Singapore, so I'm very near, and you can also have a virtual coffee with me to discuss how we can help you. If you have the marketing budgets, advertisement budgets in Google or Facebook, starting from a few K per month, so like it's more or less bigger scale, then I think we definitely can help you to do it much more efficient. And I think in pandemic times, the reason why our company actually grows so fast during the pandemic, during the COVID times, because we help people to get more leads by saving the same budget, or we're helping them to actually reduce the budget but retain the same performance, so they can spend this budget on something else during these challenging times for the companies. So that's a little contribution from us as well.
And that's very nice. So you guys, if you're interested in anything Aleks has to offer, just hit him up with a message. You can see that he has left his contact details on screen right now, including his email and his contact number. And you can also find that in the chat box as well. I don't think we have any more questions for now. So Aleks, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us here today. And once again, from all of us at Exabytes, thank you for making the Singapore Marketing Fest 2020 a success. I'll see you soon, hopefully. You take care and stay safe now. Bye.
See you. Have a good day. Bye. Stay safe.
Exabytes. Grow your business online.